Everybody, welcome and thank you for joining. My name is Skip Sanzeri, co-founder and chief operating officer at QuSecure. Welcome to our webinar. Today's a special webinar for QuSecure. We are going to show you our products in action. One of the things when we think about post-quantum cybersecurity, and for those of you that have followed us, over months here, what we've done is we've been able to create a system that allows us to help orchestrate the NIST algorithms, the post-quantum algorithms. And we wanted to just focus this webinar on showing you this system today. So we'll have a little bit of back and forth here, but we're going to jump right into it. Next slide, please. To help orchestrate the NIST algorithms, the post-quantum algorithms. So we have some great speakers today. Craig from Cisco is going to join us, and we have two of our wonderful people, Becca and Garrison from QuSecure. And we'll divide into sections here. So let's hit next slide. So let's start at the high level of what we're trying to do here at QuSecure. So our job is to make distribution of these NIST algorithms, this new post-quantum cybersecurity, through the network for organizations, whether federal or commercial, to make it easy. We want to make it easy in a few ways, and you'll see this today. One is we leave the existing encryption in place. This is very important because it makes the ability to test these new algorithms very, very easy and very low risk. We felt that in architecting the system that if we were able to let enterprise and government keep those algorithms running, then there really isn't a cost to change anything. And we operate on top of, or we tunnel inside those systems. And that allows an organization to have post-quantum cybersecurity as well as standard encryption in place. And of course, it makes testing and deployment a lot easier as well. Another thing we'll talk about today is the ability to hot swap cryptography. So many of you know NIST has 4 finalists, with one Kyber being the front runner for approval, we hope, in this quarter, but we're not sure. But the idea being is that we expect organizations may want to deploy different types of approved cryptography. We also expect that NIST may have more cryptography later that they'll want to bring into the fold. And we allow you to change those algorithms. And we allow you to change the key strengths as well with one click. These are very important aspects of our system. We also cover 3 layers. We're able to deploy post-quantum cybersecurity at the web app and browser level. We can deploy it at the network level. And we now, with one of our new products, can deploy at the switch and router level. And the whole idea is quick installs and proofs of concept so that organizations can start testing post-quantum cybersecurity. And we know a lot of organizations are doing discovery of cryptography now because it's recommended, certainly at the federal level and even at commercial level. But what we say is, why not put some post-quantum cyber in there as well? They're not mutually exclusive, and you can test at the same time as you're doing any inventory or discovery, and you're able to move a lot faster that way versus doing one first. So we have current deployments at QuSecure, so this is all in play. These products are out there. We have deployments in telecom and finance and banking, federal government, healthcare, IT services, consulting. So we have some proof points as well. Okay, that's enough overview. We want to jump right into the product. I'm going to hand to Garrison, and after Garrison, we'll do a little Q&A with Becca and Craig. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you, Skip. Yes, and next slide, please. So today, as Skip was alluding to, you will see a live demonstration of our QuProtect platform. As Skip was mentioning, there are 3 independent products that we have on the QuProtect platform. One, as you see at the top, is for QuProtect Web Application Security. That's for web apps and websites. We have QuProtect Network Security for security between application on different servers, as well as other network traffic between servers. Finally, on the bottom, you can see QuProtect Core Security. This is security that we are able to perform in a post-quantum fashion for routers that leverage the SCIP protocol from Cisco. And you'll hear about that more, actually, in the end of this presentation with Rebecca and Craig. All of this is fundamentally underpinned by our QuProtect Orchestrator. This is our management console that allows you to affect the cryptography on any one of these links seamlessly, as Skip was alluding to earlier. So with that single slide of preparation, we'll flip over now to the demonstration. So as I was showing you on the other diagram, at the bottom was our QProtect Orchestrator. This is our graphical user interface, our GUI for that orchestrator. So the orchestrator is able to show you every single post-quantum connection that is generated. Here you're seeing the number per day that we're able to generate, as well as the specific type of cryptography or the post-quantum algorithm that's being used to secure those connections, right? So you're seeing here, Kyber 768, 512, 1024, different key strengths of the Kyber algorithm. And so too, do we support all round 4 NIST finalists? And you'll see how easy it is to swap between them in just a second. But a couple of other things that we're able to gain from having this centralized management and orchestration is we're able to uniquely identify and fingerprint each connection that's made, as well as every device that is creating that connection. We're able to see, for example, where those connections are coming from, the protocols in use, as well as the browser type that's being used to create the session in case of web app security. So this screen here is our dashboard. It's our single pane of glass. All of these logs are created in Splunk and can be queried on your own if you would like to create those and forward them along to your own SOAR programs. So again, this is all about getting visibility into the types of connections that are being made. And if you drop down into our manage section, you'll actually be able to see the different types of proxies that we've deployed in order to affect that cryptography. So you can see here that we have 5 different proxies attached to this orchestrator. And these proxies, right, you're able to see the number of keys that they generated, as well as the type of connection that is attached to it. You can see that we have both web application proxies and network proxies here associated. It's not to say actually that you must have a single connection type for proxy. Actually, the opposite is true. You can have many, many, many different connections. Each one here only has a single connection for ease of demonstration. And what's really amazing about this technology is that from this management console, we can go in and view and edit these proxies to, again, affect the type of cryptography that they use. Here you're seeing 2 different key encapsulation mechanisms. One is McLeese, one is HQC 192. And you're also able to determine how often keys are rotated in the platform, right? So you can go every hour, every 30 minutes, every 60 seconds, every 24 hours. The choice is yours. And you can also determine the type of cryptography that's being used for a web connection here. So in this example, we're using Kyber 768. And this is, again, a live proxy that we have for you right here in the demonstration. Now, what I want to take a second to do is I've shown you a lot of kind of the management side of things. I would like to show you kind of what this looks like from the end user perspective and the visibility that you get into those sessions with our software. So I think you were able to see, right, that we were using a certain type of cryptography here. I'll show you first this web proxy that we have for our QBank application. You can see that we're using Kyber 768 for this application. If I go back to the dashboard, I'll be able to see that I've created 301 total sessions, and Kyber 768 has created 252 of those. First, I'm going to show you what it looks like just to access the application directly. So this is not going through our proxy, right? We can come here and then we load in. This is a stand-in for the banking application you might use, to do your own finances. Here, right, we've just created a notional one for bank.com. Now, this is again, the non-Q protected version of this web page, but it's just to show you, right, you can see that there's no protection here. This is just to show you what the web application looks like without any protection in front of it. Adding this protection is as simple as actually routing through one of our proxies. And so what you'll see here is, we have our end user browser, in this case, it's my browser, coming in, accessing through the proxy and being delivered to the same receiving application, which is this application here. So going back to the dashboard, again, I've created 301 total sessions because I haven't Q protected any other sessions. But if I come in here and I am now to visit this exact same web server, but doing it through our proxy, what I'll be able to see is that I see the exact same web application, but now you can see that we have QProtect Web active. And if I come back to the management console, I will move from 301 total sessions generated and increment that to 302. And Kyber 768, which was our algorithm of choice, will increment to 253. So you can see that here, right? So I now have 302 and 253 of them were with Kyber 768. Now, if I wanted to modify, right, this connection to be using a different type of cryptography, so say there's some degradation in the security assumption of Kyber, and I want to completely move away from that algorithm, I can go in, again, in a live manner to that proxy, or even at the level of policy, right, and say, okay, I know I'm using Kyber here. I would like to switch to something else. Let's pick HQC. So I'm now going to save this configuration, right? So I'm using HQC 192. I will update that proxy. That then pushes a new configuration down to the proxy, also in a post quantum secure way. And you can see that that update has already been absorbed. When I revisit the dashboard, again, I haven't created any new sessions, so you wouldn't expect that anything is incremented. Also, you see no HQC anywhere here currently because we haven't yet used it. And if I go to the exact same URL, so you can watch, I will copy and paste from that same URL. I'll get the same splash screen as before, right? QSecure securing your environment. However, this time, when I actually go into my management console, I'll still get an increment in the total number of sessions generated. However, this time, right, I will then see that HQC 192 has appeared. So again, we can now see that there's been a single session generated with HQC 192. And this ability to seamlessly swap between different types of cryptography is what we term crypto agility, right? And it's flexibility not only in the key strength of, as you've seen here, right, with Kyber, you have all of these different key strengths. You're also able to swap seamlessly between different types of cryptography without needing to, go back into those libraries and do all of that updating. Of course, all of this happens without code change to the application that's being protected. So that's great. And this is a really efficient way to do this for web connections, as I was showing you before, right? That's end user browser coming in the proxy, and then eventually is a receiving application. But what happens in the case of a network connection, right? So in a network connection, this is now no longer a browser coming in. This is going to be a server that then goes through an initiating proxy, is upgraded to post quantum, again, transparently, runs over to a receiving proxy, gets decrypted, and handed back to the receiving application. So the link between the two proxies is post quantum, and you would want to place these proxies as close to the sending and receiving application as possible, with the link in between being the vulnerable portion that's being, for example, sent over the open internet. And you can see that we've done that here too. So the receiving application in this case is an SFTP terminal, and we have it on localhost, right? So you can see that actually this receiver proxy and this receiving application is on the exact same server. And so what does this look like in practice, right? I will give me 1 second to swap over to my new window here. And I will share with you now what QNetwork looks like. So here, I'm showing you a QNetwork session that we've established, actually. So this is QProtecting SFTP file transfer, for example. And you can see that I'm actually SFTPing into this AWS instance where I'm accessing it on this machine, .157 at port 5000. Here, I'm accessing the machine natively on 116 port 22, right? A default for SFTP. And you can see too that the file structure is the same. So this really is the same machine, and you'll see that even more going forward. So if I then change directories into this demo folder on both, right, you can see that the directory is empty here as well as here. And then I can go ahead and drag and drop, right? I'm going to use FileZilla, right, standard SFTP client to do this, to move those files. And you can see it's progressing nicely over our post-quantum protected version QNetwork SFTP. Here, you're seeing that exact same file transfer natively into the destination directory here. And this is now able to see both, right? So one of these came from our QuProtect SFTP. One of them came from our regular SFTP. And the point here to get across is that I haven't modified at all FileZilla or the receiving machine. However, both of these are able to interact with that machine in a very easy way. And one of them actually is Post Quantum. So this is the capability of QNetwork, right? So if you think about different machines that may need to communicate with one another that need to do this in a post-quantum way, that have to traverse a vulnerable link, you're able to layer this in with whatever protection that you have today, right? SFTP obviously leverages its own encryption as well. And we're able to do this in a transparent manner such that all of your cryptography can be guaranteed to upgrade to post-quantum without needing to change any of your application code. So that is it for the demo. Thank you all for coming to see this. And now we'll turn it over to a fireside chat for Rebecca and Craig. Thank you.
All right. Today we have Craig Hill with us. And if you use the internet, which most of us have by now, you've probably encountered Craig Hill's fingerprint somewhere without knowing it. He's a distinguished architect in the office of the CTO at Cisco, and he has been shaping Cisco products, and so therefore how we communicate digitally in the world for, I think, 20 plus years.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, a little bit more than that, but it's been an evolution, right?
20 plus, yeah. So, Craig, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. It's always a pleasure to collaborate with you. And so thank you, Garrison, for showing us the live deployment. Craig, coming from the Cisco perspective, what are you doing as a network architect, designer? When you're talking to customers, most people know that this is a thing that they have to solve for by now, right? Yeah. So you're getting customers. What do you do, and how do you work with customers, start to engage with them when they come to you with post-quantum challenges?
Yeah, so first, Becca, it's always great to do these things with you. And Garrison, great job, man. It's amazing how easy that is getting. Like, I love the UI right now. It looks really, really good. It's shaping up great. But I talked to different network operators on this as well, and I think we're past the, do you need to do it or not? I think where some of the areas and discussions that I'm really having is just start thinking of that transition plan. Because there's not very many customers that I work with, whether it's civilian, commercial, enterprise, or federal, of course, but that don't have they're running some level of encryption, network encryption, whether it's Ethernet layer or IP layer, et cetera. And I think the top areas that we're really focusing on is focus or try to identify the areas that are if there was an area of vulnerability that would be of most concern to you, maybe central to the business. I will say different operators, when I talk to them, some want to start inside the network and work out. Some might want to start on the branches and work in. You have all these different variations, but I think, just the idea that we can leverage the install base today. And I think that's really key. And we'll talk about that a little bit more, but the idea that it's pretty much a brownfield. We're dealing with an install base. And I think it was Garrison or Skip said that earlier. So you're dealing with an install base, and how can we make that simpler? So if I bring it all back, I'd say really identify that starting point and what is most vulnerable to your mission or your business.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense, right? Start with the first step. And when you start to engage them, what are the pain points? What are their biggest concerns? And then when you kind of start to guide them, where are they having their aha moments as they start to kind of see how you start to eat the elephant?
Yeah, and I think this is going to be good because I'm going to flip it on you too, because you and I we have customers that are focused on dealing with this and trying to transition to this, but they're different customer sets. It'll be great to get your insights on this as well. Look, for me, as much as I love the network and the network complexity, et cetera, the more customers I talk to, you think about some aha moments. I think one of the biggest things that we can do, and this really ties back to the demo and what QSecure is doing, how can we make it simple or simpler? They're already running network encryption today. They're typically monitoring it either in their own automation or just through command line. And I think one of the areas that QSecure brings that I've really been focusing on lately is the simplicity and how we can make it simpler for them. I think that's really one of the big keys. And that dashboard I commented on earlier, if you just look at how simple it is we talk about crypto agility, changing on the fly, things change in NIST. I don't have to do a whole network element software reload, right? I have the ability to just leverage QuProtect Orchestrator to simplify how I would actually change this crypto or make the necessary changes on the fly. I think that's really one of the biggest things for me, is really that. I mean, everyone starts at a different point, but I think really making it simpler for our customers to consume it and make the changes and embrace it is a really big piece. I mean, Becca, what are one or two key aha challenge moments that you consistently see with your customer discussions?
Yeah, well, I totally agree. I think while encryption is not a new thing, I think when you add kind of talk of quantum in there, you add a lot of dynamics. Do I do PQC? Do I do QKD? I think there's one on one hand, we have the customers who come to us, I'd say primarily in like financial sector, telecom and government. And a lot of those customers are like, we already get this, we're ready, we know exactly what we need to do. Here's our first use case, like you were saying, right? That first step. Yeah. But then there's, the whole set of people who are like, hey, I know I need to address this and start. And they got a lot of questions. And so making it as simple as possible from a product perspective. And then also, I think that brings up questions of, again, to your point, like, is this it? Do I have to take some big inventory? Do I have to, what about my next cryptography upgrade? Do I have to patch all these things by hand? And, for this one group that's ready for it, we're like, yeah, let's go, let's slap some QSecure on it. And this group, you kind of have to, it's actually one of the more fun things that I get to do is be able to put what Garrison just showed in front of them and say like, nah, you can start even before you take this inventory. You can get going. Again, that first step, let's figure out what a really high value application is, and let's get going. And it's pretty simple. But I think that we're talking a lot about like that first step. How do you help customers navigate those starting points?
Yeah. So and this is again discussion with some of the operators that I trust that manage some very, very large networks. This is easy to do. It's all about how about just a basic test bed? Just start the testing. An emulation of your network, your ciphers, and I'm coming at this from like a network perspective, for example, for Cisco, my Cisco customers, for example. And I think just starting the testing now, and here's the cool thing. I think for the listeners today, Garrison talked about QProtect Core. And with a couple of your engineers, we've been doing some testing where we took 2 Cisco routers running commercial off-the-shelf IPsec AES 256 GCM. And really, when you start looking at crawl, walking, and running, those customers in that test, I personally started it just doing a manual Post Quantum pre-shared key capability where I just manually leverage the Cisco software. So the Cisco software does support this using a form of RFC 8784 to do this. But then the walk phase for me was engaging QSecure and then working with some of your engineers. And basically with Joey, what we basically did were we able to leverage what Cisco did was we knew we would have to leverage commercial off the shelf install base. So what we did is we developed an API called Skip, which is an API to connect to either QKDs or PQCs. And the idea is that we can leverage a dynamic method for post-quantum key distribution. So we're able to actually propagate those keys dynamically down to the Cisco routers, and then the Cisco routers would actually leverage a quantum safe, cipher, enabling this quantum resistant IPsec channel. And we're going to come out with a paper in the next couple of weeks on this that describes the details of this. It's not incredibly complicated, but boy, it's a really quick step for those areas. I go back to your first question. You asked me, where do you start? Well, this would be a great starting point for using IPsec, and even those of you who are using maybe MACsec, we're going to be testing that in phase 2. We could leverage that as well. So we're trying to cover the network encryption gamut. Software is available today. So it'll be really, it's a really cool first step capability for our customers.
That's awesome. It's something that we're super, super excited about. And I guess kind of soft launching it right now. So everyone keep your eyes out for next couple of weeks for that white paper. And if you're interested further, feel free to reach out. But yeah, shout out to Craig and shout out to Cisco's leadership. And I'm incredibly proud of the team as well. But it is a fantastic place to start. And with that, I will turn it back, I think, to Skip Sanzeri. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Becca. It was a great team effort too. So yeah, kudos to QSecure on that one as well. So anyway, back to you, Skip.
Thank you. And we're at time. You can go to the last slide, Pat, if you want. Well, to Craig, Becca, Garrison, thank you so much. We wanted to keep this very, very short just to get to the detail. However, for any of you, that have tuned in, if you'd like to have a demo in your organization, we're happy to provide that. There's a few ways to get a hold of us. You can see my email there on screen. It's just skip@QSecure. And by the way, Craig, I love the name of that API protocol. Don't know why, but feel free to reach out, email. You can also hit us on LinkedIn, but we are ready to demo. And if you'd like your team to see this live, be happy to show it to them. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and we'll see you on the next webinar. Thanks so much.